in a Python program. That means scope means still where it's visible. This concept is called as visibility of a data. Scope of a data means visibility of a data. So whenever you declare any variable, where is it found on the interpreter? We should know the location. Because when you run a Python software, it is nothing but a software running on the RAM only. So your Python software will have some partitions. That means Python program. Python is a software. So it is already having some partitions. So there are some partitions where the code is loaded first. The partition where the code is loaded is called as the method area. The basic area where the coding is done. That's the first partition of the Python system. This is also called as global area. And the second partition in the Python software, in the Python code where the data can be loaded is called as heap area. So in this area, only objects are loaded. So whenever you talk about any object, they'll be loaded in this region. And the third thing is called as stack area. So this area is used by method executions. So whenever some method is or function, basically we're talking about functions, function is executing currently whatever function or any line execution. These all things will happen in stack area only. So executions, if you say 2 plus 3, system will do the calculation in stack only. If you say print hello, the printing task will use some logic. So that logic will be applicable in the stack area only. Everything will use stack space for execution. So totally we can say Python software divides the program into 3 parts. Method area, that is global area. Then it's called as heap area, or we can third partition is called as stack area. Now I'll just tell you how to use the stack, these all 3 areas. Now, whenever you write a program, any file, let us say test.py file you have written, inside that test.py file, you're writing some variable. So, is this variable written inside some function or it is written inside a file as of now?
A file.
So, this data is called as global variable. So, the variable which is directly found, any data which is directly found in a file is called as global data, or we say global variable. So that means here we have something called variable and a data. Data in the sense object only. So here we have to understand A is a variable. So this variable is found in a region called as global area or Python software. So wherever the Python interpreter is running, in that the first partition is called as global area. So this data is found in this particular section, the global area of the Python interpreter. But what about the other information and the 10, which is called as an object only, basically. So this is an int object. You know that. The data is always called objects in Python. So if you write hello, it's a string object. If you take a list, it's a list object. If you take a decimal value, it's a floating object. If it's a number, it says as int object. Everything is an object in Python. No primitive data types in Python. So all objects will be loaded in. So these objects will be loaded in the heap area. So as of now, I wrote A. It is going to which area? Global area. And I said 10, which is loaded in which area? Heap area. So what is found inside A? A only holds the location of 10, wherever it is found in the system. So that's how we have connected these two. Now we already know we can even define functions. Other than doing like this, we can even define functions. Something like this. Can we declare a variable here inside a function? Can we write like this? A variable inside the function?
No.
Okay. We could do anything, no, inside function.
Yes.
You wrote
Okay.
area of rectangle. You wrote
Yes, ma'am.
rectangle area. What did you do
Okay.
with that? You took length, you took
Breadth.
breadth.
And
And where
then
did you take area? We have taken here, no?
length into breadth. Okay, ma'am.
So this area. So then it can print or written, that is secondary. Okay.
The
So where did you declare
heap
this
area.
area? Is it outside the function or it's inside the function?
Inside the function.
Yes. And what about these two variables?
Inside the function.
Yeah, these are also inside the functions. So the length, breadth, and the area are called as local variables, and they are stored in stack area. So where function is running, where the rectangle area executes. So whenever this particular function is executing, only during that time, this data will be loaded. Fine. This is local data. Now, local data means its scope is only till here. It is not visible outside the function. It is only visible within inside the function block only. Means if you have to print length, we have to print length here only. You can't print the length or breadth outside the function. Means outside the function means this is the definition block. If you want to come out of it, it should be left of it. That means outside that function block. So if you say length, system will give an error. Same way if you say print area, it will give an error. But if you say print A, it gets executed and it gives an answer as 10. So this is like public property. Anybody can use it because it's not bounded inside some block. It's open. It's directly kept inside the program or the file. So this is a global variable, and global variable means which can be accessed by anyone from anywhere. Hardly any restrictions to access this. So you should know how to access this. So there is no permission restrictions on this. We can access it. So if this variable is written inside a file called as test.py, it can be accessible everywhere inside this program, anywhere. You can access it from any location inside the same file right now. But if this is some other file, if you have some other file, you're outside the file right now and you want to access this data. So the first thing what we have to do is load the file, call the file right now. So once we load the file, the whole file is loaded on the system. And now we have to call the data along with the file name like this. So we can access it, but we should know how to access it. So directly we cannot say just print A. It won't print the data. If I say, it will give an error saying that there is no such data found in this particular file. So whenever you write any code inside a file, and whenever you talk about any data, first it will search here only, in the current file only. But if it's not found within this particular file, it sees, did you call any other file? So did you import any other file? So if you have imported some other file, now it will go into that particular file code and now checks what is the information found directly accessible from the file. So this is a global information. Now it is accessible. So how do we call that? We have to call it with test.a, right? So can I call the local data outside the function or only inside the function?
Inside the function, ma'am.
Only inside the function.
Because
Can
it's
I?
local.
Yeah, it's local. Can I print this anywhere in the same file directly? If I want, can I print it here also?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this can be accessed anywhere, almost anywhere. So for that, just I'll write another function for a clarity purpose. Define a function to display a value. So it's a function inside the same program. So can it access the data which is there in the same file directly with its name? Or does it have to call it with test.a?
No, we can directly call it, ma'am.
Yes, because this function is also belongs to the same file. Everyone is in the same room. So we can directly call them. Just because this program is a different one. And if it wants to print A, first you need to bring the file, import the file. Once you imported the file, you have an access to everything of the file, but you need to call with the file name only. Because maybe you have some other file, some other file like test3.py. In that also maybe I have some A value, but it's 30. Now, in two different files, I have the same value. You can see that. Test.py also has AS10 and test3py also has the same variable value. So, if I want to print both, I need to go for importing what? Both the files. And when I import both the files, and if I don't say test.a, there will be a confusion because I have two test classes. One is test and one is test 3. In both, we have a value. So if I just say A, it's not clarity. We have to mention that A from which file. So just test dot A will give a identity of this variable. So this A comes from a scope of this file. Same way, the second A we can print it through the second file name. So this will print 10, this will print 30, right? So where you're keeping the data, we have to be very clear. So data, whenever you declare, it will go into some or the other block. So we have to find where is the data, then only we can access it properly, right? Any confusion till
No,
here?
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, but I'll just show you variations in that. Now, variations means once I execute, it will come to me. And diagrammatically, I'll just draw so that you can understand whatever we are writing. Just think that this is a partition called as global area. And this is a partition called heap area. And there's one more partition called stack area. 3 areas in the same software. So this is heap area. This is global area. And the third one is stack area. Now, when you just write in a file test.py and you just declare a is equal to 10, and when you run this program, this program coding will be loaded in this particular location, the global section. So there will be one block created for which file right now? The file name called test. And inside this section, any variable is there, which is of which type? Global type will be loaded right now. So this variable belongs to which location now? Which file? Test. So whenever we have to call it, we say test.a, right? And similarly, if I say b is equal to 20, this also goes inside the same file right now. Now values are not stored here because a will be creating some object. Now somewhere this value is created in the system and it's only holding its address here. B is pointing to randomly anywhere the objects can be created. Okay. So the objects are created and their addresses are stored in this references. So what are A and B right now? Reference variables. And these are objects. Fine. So this reference is of which type now?
Global.
Global. So variables are in the global section, but objects are always in which section?
Heap area.
Heap.
Heap area. So fine. Now, when I'm writing a statement also here, I'm writing the coding inside which location? Inside the file only. So if I say print A, so file says print A, inside the file will check the data and directly print it. So printing task will happen somewhere here only. So whatever execution you say, if you say a sentence saying print A, the sentence will get executed. Use some space in the stack area. And when it says print A, this is called from which class, which file? Inside the test file, you wrote this sentence. So it will check inside the file. Do we have any A variable there? We wanted to print A. The sentence belongs to test file. So do we have any value A there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So it will print the value as 10. So same way, if you say something else, so this execution is over, the space is cleaned up. Once execution is over, printing is done, output is come on the screen, space is cleared off. Now again, when you say print B, again the printing statement will use some space for printing B value. So again, it will go and check in the file, do we have a B value? If it's there, it will print that B value also. So once executions are done, the space is cleared off immediately. Whatever space is used to do some task, it's been cleared off right now. Okay. Now the next thing is, if I define a function. So where did I write this function? This definition is written inside which file? Test file, right? And here if I say C30, so this is a coding part. Function is nothing but a coding only. So inside this function, I'm just writing coding. It's not execution now. It's not currently executing. It's only definition. So now, in which file I wrote this particular function code?
In global area, maybe C file must have gone.
Yeah, the code of the function is here only. Like A
Global
belongs
area.
to the function. This function also belongs to test
Global
file
area.
only, right?
Okay.
The coding only. But when I run this function, how do we run the function? We have to call the function, no? Like this. When I call a function only, this is function call. The first one is called as function definition, which is nothing but a coding part. And the second thing is called as function call or execution. So where will the executions takes place? Where will any execution take place?
Stack.
Stack area. So when I wrote this sentence, see, this is a definition. It is already found in which section? Inside the test
A.
file. So here only the coding is there. Now when you call the function, it will use some space to run here. So which function is running?
Print C.
Now, and this line by line it starts executing. So what is the first line inside function execution? C is equal to 30. So C variable is loaded in which part of the system? C variable is loaded in global or it's inside the function?
It's still inside the function, but it will go to
Yes.
global area first.
No. The coding is saved in, coding is all, see, whenever you said test.py file, no?
Yes.
The whole code of this file will be inside the global area. Whole file, test.py file code. So in that code, if you have directly some global variable, they'll be loaded. If there is a function code, that will be loaded. Everything, the data and the functions code will be loaded here in this particular section. But now data is using space. Is the function using some space? Is it running currently or it's only the code is loaded in the system? When you load a file, when you load
runs.
will it run on its own?
No, unless we run it, it won't. It will be just
Yes,
saved.
no?
Yes.
Yeah, if you just write like this, A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20. When I run this particular file, when I click run on the file, what will happen on the system?
We'll
This
get
data
an
gets, these will be loaded. They are ready in the system. They are loaded. They're allocated some space. Fine. Space is given for this information and references. But if I define a function, is it using a lot of space for execution or it's only for the coding, written code?
for the code, ma'am.
Only code. Is this variable loaded in the system now? Is it available anywhere in the system?
Once it's executed, maybe no, the function
Yes.
might.
Yeah, only when you execute the function, this will become active. Otherwise, it's like a dormant stage. It is a sleeping right now. It's not there in the system. So when you write the definition, nothing is happening. It's like nothing is there. So when I call the function, what happens now? It starts executing line by line whatever you wrote here. Okay. So what is the first line? Allocating space for which variable? C. So in which area this execution is happening? So inside that stack, which variable is loaded? And it's assigned to which value? 30. And we are able to print C also. So these all executions are taking place in which area of the interpreter? Stack area. Executions, printing, calculation, whatever you do, when the function is executing, it'll execute and use this space only. If the function is only defined, it will belong to a file only. It will be inside global section. Coding will be in the global section, but the executions will happen in the local section. All right? Is that clear? I'll just show different files. You should not have any doubts about it. I'll show it separately, each one to you, so that you not have any doubts regarding this data. So, again, I'm just showing the same thing. So these two belongs to global. This belongs to local. This execution, this whole thing will execute in which location?
Heap area, ma'am.
Stack area.
Stack
Execution
area.
stack area. And these will be all the information which is there in global will be in the global space only. Okay. Now, when I'm trying to execute, like when I'm trying to execute in the program, something like this, can I do this?
Yes.
Can I do this? And can I do this?
No,
Third
ma'am.
one, is it
I
correct?
think we need to call the
Third one is not global. Yes, this is, yeah, this will give an error because we can't call the
yeah.
functions data. We can only call the function. We can't
Yeah.
call what is there inside a function. It's like a hidden data. We don't know what is there inside this. We are only eligible to call this function by its name. When I call, it executes in stack area. So in that area, which variable is loaded? Inside that function stack, a variable is loaded, C is equal to 30. See, this information won't be here. We have to just understand. Information will be always sent to which area? Heap only. It will be just dumped inside the heap area. So only what is important for us? Variable. C is important for us. So if function wants to print C, can it print the value? Function.
Yes, ma'am, because it's inside the
Yes.
function.
Yes. Now same function, can it print A value also?
Yes, ma'am, global area.
Because this function A and everything belongs to which one right now? Which file?
Test
Same program. And here only we have this code also. So this function, while execution, can call them directly without any references. But assume that we have another file called test2py right now. Here we have some x is equal to something and y is equal to something. And we have here a function called 2. So can this data be called by this function? Can we call some other file's data in test.py file?
No, ma'am. But
We
it's all
can.
global area, right?
Important.
Yes.
We
In
can
this
call.
file, we should write which statement?
We can call the
Import statement. Yes. So, yeah, test file should do what concept here?
importing the
Import the
name.
file. Only when it imports, yes. And then what we can say? Test2 dot to go inside this test2 dot x or test2 dot
We can do
y,
it.
or you can execute that
It's
function
the function.
also. You can do this one. Same way, can test2 also call these data?
Yeah.
In test2
We need
file.
to.
So in
We need to
test2py file,
import now, ma'am.
we have
Import
to,
the test.
yes, import a test
We can
and
call.
then test dot
test dot b,
A, test dot B,
the function.
or test dot function. So you can print this one. This printing the data, but the function is only execution. Test dot function is nothing but call of the function, right? Is
Okay.
that clear or any confusion till here? Now there is a problem in this global and local. Why? Because if I'm writing one file, and in that file, if I already have declared one variable 10, a with 10 value. Now if I define again a function, and inside this again if I declare another variable, but what is the name of this now?
Same keyword A.
Same keyword. So in the global area also we have a variable a under the test.py, and inside the function, when the function is executing also, it is having a variable called a20. So inside the global we have a 10, inside the stack we have a 20. Because whenever we write just an equal to symbol, a variable will be created in that section only. So if you write this sentence in a global section, this variable will be loaded in which area? In the global area. If I write the same sentence inside a function, then this will be loaded in which area? Stack area. So where have you written this a equality? Equality with a variable. That job we have to see. Where did you type that sentence? So this sentence I typed in the global area, so it will go to global space. This sentence again I typed in stack area, so it is a different variable called as stack variable. So it's not like updating a's value as 20. But if I come back here outside and I say a30, now I wrote this is in which area? This only when you execute, it will go to stack area. Only during execution. As of now, it's not there. But when you run this file line by line, this is executed, this is interpreted, but it's not executed. This is executed. So is this variable loaded again? Do we have two variables in the global space or only one?
We have one.
Only one. So previously that A was pointing to 20. Now the same is pointing to
30.
30. That's the same thing. So it's a global variable only. It's not updation of that particular variable. So here, if I just say print, which a value will be printed now?
The global value equals to 30.
30 only, the latest value. So my question is, if I already have a global variable, and if I define a function, and if I want to update this value to 20 or 30, something like that, can I write it like this? Is it updating the previous data or it's creating a new data?
It's a new data, ma'am. It's inside function.
Yes, inside function, whenever we write is equal to with the variable, it's a new local variable. So it is not changing the global data. This is a total new one. Okay. So what should I do? Because generally, whenever you do something like applications, if you have a TV volume which is already 20, if I have to change, are we going to go inside the coding of the software, or we are just pressing a button called increase volume? If I have to change the television volume, so should I do?
Increase volume.
So we are doing an operation there, right? It's like a
Yes.
function only. So this function is going to do which job? If I have to define also, what should it do right now when you call this function? In the remote, we have a data like it's a remote.py. In that, we have a volume 20, global volume. So this volume can be accessed by which operation? During increasing, it can be changed. During decreasing, it can be changed. During mute operation also, it can be changed. So do we have 2-3 volumes? One for increasing, one for decreasing, one for muting?
Increment, decrement. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Do we have 2-3 volumes in TV that if I say increase, one volume will increase, decrease means another volume will
No,
decrease?
just one volume
Yes. So
operating.
So this is a single global volume. We kept the volume in the global section so that everybody can access it from anywhere. So I want to access it inside which function? Increase volume. So what it wants to do when you call this function? It wants to do some operation on it. What change it should do on the volume? When I
It has
press
to
this
it has to
increase.
increase.
So how should I write the coding of increase? Increasing the volume.
volume is equal to 1. Volume is equal, volume is
Sorry?
volume plus equal to 1.
Okay. Right? So we are writing like this. But just now, if you expand it, expand the sentence, how does it look like? Is it like this? It's the same thing, no? It's a unary operator. This is a binary operator. So just see the sentence. What did I write here? Volume equal to. What is the meaning of a variable and equal to symbol? Wherever I write like this, what happens?
Go to the global.
It's a variable
Yeah,
declaration. Will it go to the global, or
global
it will
only.
talk about a local now? Will it be a global, or will it? Okay, again see that. I'm saying same thing here. Which one is it if I just write like this?
Is there a global?
This is already there in the global. This one, is it also global?
The person must be
Means I wrote this reference variable equal to inside which location? Inside the file or inside the function? Is the sentence written inside a class, inside the file, or inside the function? This is a variable declaration, no? Variable assignment or something. Where did I write this variable assignment? Inside the function. So whenever you write this statement inside a function, it belongs to, like if I'm saying b is equal to 20, this is a global variable or local variable? Is it global or is it local? So there is a file, there is a function execution. Where is A loaded? Where is B loaded?
in the top one.
Where is B loaded? Because B is which kind of variable? Local variable. A is a global variable. So it is found inside the file and it is found inside the function stack area, right? Now same thing, I'm just writing here, A is equal to 30. Where will this A30 go right now? We have two regions. One is the global area, one is the stack area of this function. Function is still running.
It will go to function area, the
Yeah.
stack area.
So this means this is A30, no? So A30 and B20 are a part of which stack? Function stack. So can I say both of them are local variables?
Yes, ma'am.
And in global also we have the same variable.
Yes.
So A is found in how many locations?
2 locations.
2 locations. And when a function prints A, it will print which value?
The global value first. Oh, function. No, the local
Yes.
value.
Yes. See, it's just like near you, you have a pen. You'll pick that pen or you will go to the other room and pick the pen.
Okay, the pen in the same room.
Yeah. So this is like near. Already if you find the data, you'll use it. If it wasn't there, means there is no such data in this one. And then if function wants to print A, where is it going to search for this data? Inside
In the
the file.
function first.
Yeah, in the function it did not find it.
Okay.
So then it will go to the connected file. Function belongs to which file? It will go to that file location. Global area. Fine. Is it finding an A in that global area? then only it will access that. So here, what is the problem? When did you face a problem? When we find same variable in both global and local section, global
Okay.
area and local area. So which will have more precedence?
More precedence means
Local will have more precedence.
yeah.
Yes, this will be giving more priority. Outer one will not be referred. So in the presence of this, we can't access or see global data. Okay. If it's not there, we can access. But if it is there, local is there, we can never reach to the global data, right?
Yes.
Is that clear till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So now one simple example. I have taken a bank, say volume only. Let us say that volume only. Volume I have taken as a remote's global variable. In the remote file, we are taking a global volume called as 20. Now, to do operations on it, to change the volume, I wrote some functions. Because why do we write functions? We'll write the code once. Whenever we want to change a volume, we have to call those functions. So we will write the logic of increasing, decreasing, and muting the volume inside three functions. So I'll say increase volume, one function, another function decrease volume, and another function mute function. Okay. Now, what should be code written inside this? What should we try to do here? We have to decrease the volume by how much? 1. So generally, if I have to print the volume, global volume, can I do this? Is it able to access the global volume?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, because there is no local value here, volume here. Now this is possible. Fine. I want to print the volume or
You
I
want
want to
to
change the volume.
increase the volume.
Means it can be accessed here. We can access. So I want to increase the volume. So what should be the code to
Volume.
increase the volume?
Yeah. Yes.
Is it the change of the volume? But the problem here is when I wrote this sentence like this, it has become like a new local variable. Okay. It has declared it or considered it like a new local variable. So function thinks you have taken a new local variable and then you're assigning what value to it? You're again saying volume plus 1. Which volume it will think about it now? Global or local now?
Local.
Inside the function, you have taken a volume.
Local
This is
volume.
which volume? Local volume.
Local volume first.
And which value you're assigning to it? Again, local plus 1. But do we have any
No.
local volume? Any values there? You said local volume is equal to. You didn't assign a value only first. In that formula, what did you write? Volume plus 1. So, does this volume has any value
No.
right now? It's not yet initialized, no. We don't have a value. So, this will give an error saying that you are using a variable before assignment to it. So, it's used in the formula before having a value for itself. So, this will create an error. So actually, we want to increase the volume, but it's not happening because it is considering like a local. So actually, which volume you want to do? You want to increase? You want to increase which volume actually?
Global volume.
Global volume,
First,
the global one. But just because I'm writing this, it has become a local volume. So to avoid a new local variable creation, what you can do is first declare global keyword and just mention the variable name. Before you start assignment, mention that I don't want a new local one. I will only use which variable? Global variable. Which variable of global? Volume. So when I write this keyword, system will not create a new local one when you write like volume is equal to volume plus 1. So now it is updating which value now? The global only. Global volume. Why it is updating global value volume? Because you already mentioned in the beginning itself that I'm using a global volume in this formula. I don't want a new one. Don't create a new one for me in the local section, right? Same way, here also to decrease the volume directly, don't decrease the volume like this. If you do this, you'll get an error. So what should we do to get the correct answer? First, mention before decrementing, say that I'm using which volume? I want to use in this code global volume. And then whenever you write here volume, system will take it as which volume? This is local or global?
This is local, ma'am. The below one is local. Is equals
No,
to no.
no. When I mentioned here, I'm telling that in this whole code, wherever I write volume, it should talk about global only. Don't take a new local one.
Okay.
So if I mention a global list, means I'm just declaring that I will use a global one here. So after that declaration, whenever you say volume is equal to, it's nothing but updating which volume?
Global
This
volume.
volume, global volume only. So I can do this one. This will work. No error now, right? So in the mute function also, if I just say volume is equal to 0, what will happen? Is it changing the global volume? It is taking a new local volume.
The global volume turns to 0.
No,
That's how we do a mute, right?
this will, if I don't want this, what should we do? First say that in this code I will use which volume?
Global volume.
And then when you say volume is equal to 0,
as
it will
0.
update the global volume as
0. That's what.
that's it. Fine. So directly inside the function, don't do any calculations. If you do any calculation, it will not update the existing one. It will create a new ones there, right? Similarly, one more example. Same way, if you just see that, if you say bank application, you have a balance in your account and you want to just withdraw and check balance or something. So I'm keeping the balance as a global balance. And I just want to write a procedure to debit some amount from it. So whenever somebody wants to debit an amount, what actually should happen inside debit procedure? If the debit amount is found less than or equal to which amount?
Balance amount.
Balance. So what should we be able to do? Okay, sorry, balance minus amount. Should I calculate this?
Yes.
And then can I say collect your cash?
Yes.
Okay. Else what should you say? Else is exactly here.
If
Insufficient funds.
Fine.
Okay. So here the problem is what right now? If I just write like this, what is the problem here? Problem is with this statement. They will have a error. It says you have taken a local variable and you want to assign a value to it, which is not yet created only. You are saying for the first time balance is equal to which balance? This is local balance. You don't have a value here. And you are saying that add up a value of balance minus amount. But what is this balance? There is no local balance only. It's just introduced now. It has been introduced now itself, and I can't use the same variable in the formula also. So it will give an error for you. Because here, what exactly we are trying to do here in this scenario, we are trying to talk about which balance? I'm trying to update which balance?
bank balance, obviously.
Global balance.
Global
Global
balance.
balance. Because if I don't do global, I'll get an error. First thing. Okay. And if I at least go with this, what happens with this? If I write something like this, is it a global one or is it a local one?
It's local only.
If I write balance is equal to 6,000, it'll become local and it'll update which balance now?
6,000.
Global or local?
It will not do anything to global balance.
Yeah, this will update which balance?
Local.
Local only. So that means whatever we wrote inside the function, it's only showing local. So with that, what is the problem? Now, initially I printed the balance. Which balance it is talking about?
Global balance.
So it is showing how much amount? 5,000.
Okay, 5.
Now I said I want to call a function called as debit, and I'm debiting how much amount? 2,000. So actually, how much balance should be left after deducting this?
3,000.
But is it deducting this one or it is deducting this one?
In the
Acha. It is
So-
deducting the local one.
Yeah, so it is a function. It will do the updation on this one. So remaining one is how much now? Local. But is this local active throughout the program? It will execute and close after the execution is over. Once the execution is over, will we see still the balance 6,000, 4,000, or everything is removed?
Everything gets removed.
Yes. So after execution, after this execution, it's deleted. This balance is deleted. 4,000 will get deleted now. Now, if I see the print balance, which balance it is trying to print?
The final balance.
Final or the global?
Initially it is global one, but yeah, global balance at the end.
Global only. So what will be the answer here?
5,000.
It will prove that it's not updated, the global one. Plus, I want to do the debit again. I want to check once again debit. Because I will think that already I deducted 2,000, I should have 4,000 in the balance. And if again I say 1,000, what should be your amount? It should show 3,000, but it's not 3,000. Because again the program starts from which one? 6,000 minus 1,000. So whatever you wrote inside the function, it will run as it is once again. So whenever you call this function, it will run everything as it is. So what will it do? It will take a balance as 6,000 and then balance is less than this one. It will deduct the amount and do the calculation. So always balance will start from which number? Whenever you debit an amount, always balance is how much?
Yeah, global balance.
No, the debit function. Forget about the global one. Just see the local one. Just see that I have written a debit operation. I said amount, and here I took a balance, which is 6,000. And if I say balance is equal to balance minus amount. So it prints collect your cash. And after the collect your cash, how much balance it shows? If it has to show also. How much available balance it will show? Yeah, if I run this function, what will be the output on the screen?
4,000.
4,000 will be available. Again, if I debit, what should be the answer? Whenever I call a function, it will start executing from here till here again, as it is.
Okay.
So from here till here, whatever is written. So when I executed first, what is the first sentence?
6,000.
How much balance here?
4,000.
Is the execution over? Everything is over? Execution? Now, whatever we have done, the calculation part, it will lose the data. Whatever we did, it's now lost. Everything is lost from the system. Again, we start executing the function, and I'm saying, I call the function. Again, it starts executing from the same point in the code. So what is written first line?
6,000.
5,000. So it will just reduce 1,000 out of it. So it will only change as 5,000. So is it actually changing the balance, or it's again beginning from the same program again. How much ever you debit, it will keep 6,000 only as the balance,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes.
So here the variable should never be declared inside a function. If I want some data should be updated, so it should not be a part of a function. It should be updated with the help of a function, but the data should not belong to a function. So for that purpose, we'll declare a variable in a global section as a global variable. You define a function to operate on it, but before operating on this global balance, you mention it clearly in the code as you are using which balance? Global balance. So that by mistake, by accident also, balance will not be created as a new variable. So it will be just said as balance plus amount. So which balance it's talking about right now? Both are talking about global only. So already the global variable is there in the system. In this we have which value? 5,000. When any function is called, I'm saying debit some 2,000. So what is this function going to do? It is trying to debit from which amount? This global only. So once the debit procedure is over, is the amount still updated or not? Is it there in the system? Updated amount? So the data should be always outside the function so that even after execution is over, because this will happen for a small period only. This is a procedure which will execute and close down. So once execution is completed, the result has to be reflected in the system. The result should be saved. So the global balance will be updated as how much right now?
0.
Right? So here there is no new local variable created here. No confusion of local variable because you clearly mentioned which keyword here? Global keyword. Right? Same way, we can write another function to credit also. So the other function is also going to operate on which data? This is also updating the same, no? Your account is 1, your balance is 1. You will just credit and debit. Whether you credit or what is it, debit, is it going to do the changes on the same balance or not? Same balance is updated, right? So once we say global balance only, then only we can use in the formula like this. Okay? And we say amount credited successfully. Okay? Is that clear? Same way, if I write another function called mute function, this also should work on which data it should operate on? Local? Should it create a new local or it should access the global one?
Global one, ma'am.
So to access the global one, before using the variable in your function code, mention clearly that we are only going to use in this program global variable, then only we can make it as 0. Clear? Any confusion?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is called as scope. I'm saying that there are scopes of information. Means where can I store it on the interpreter? The data can either go into which scope? Global scope means it is visible to all. If I load something here, anybody can call it if they know the global area name, the file name. So if they know the file name, they can import the file and say test.a or test.b. That's the first scope. And what is the second scope? Local area. So the local area will be used by function execution. If one function is executing in some area, its variable will be stored in those area only. And they can't be accessed outside this function block. Only as long as the function is executing, we'll be able to print which variables? X and Y. After the function execution, there is no Y. There is no X, no Y. Clear? So whatever is happening inside functions is temporarily. It's not permanent solution. It's a temporary solution. Is that clear or any confusion?
Clear, ma'am.
Yeah. So based on that, if I tell you any program, just like a normal execution, yeah. If I declare any variable here as a global variable, Now, if I define function to do something like this, if I just say like this, you should get an error or we should get it executed according to you now. Should it print or should it give an error?
It should give a print, ma'am, because we are
Increasing the
saying
volume.
global volume, right?
I didn't say no anywhere inside the function.
No, ma'am.
I just increase the volume. Did I mention which
No,
volume?
no.
So this
Even
will act like which volume? Local volume.
error,
Okay.
error.
So here, yes, yes, it should get an error. So I'll just show this now. First, I'll show you the volume printing. It should happen. Then if I increase the volume only, I should get an error. Okay. Local variable volume referenced before assignment. Means I'm using it in the formula before assignment only. If you had kept some volume here, again volume is equal to 20. And then if you try to increment, this is increasing whose volume? Local volume only. So that can be done. But again, if I increase the volume, it should become 22, no, generally. If you see the logic, should it become 23 or not now? 20, 21, 22, 23. Should it become 23? But is it become 23 or only 21?
21 only.
21.
Because it's a local one. It's always this local. When you call this function, first a volume is created with 20, then it is changed, then it is printed. So you may call it hundred of times, but our volume will always begin with which volume? 20, local
20.
volume 20. So now if I want to update the global, what should we do? Mention this keyword global and mention the variable which is found in the global section. And then if you run, clear? Now it is referring to which volume?
Global volume.
Now there is no
Volume.
local volume here. So no local volume created here inside the function. Okay. So same way, if I write another function in the same file, decrease volume, can it also access the global volume? Can it access? So global volume. And then can I write it in the formula? Can I write one more function called mute also we can do? So now after 23, if I say, it should give which answer right now? So is it reducing? Just check that. Has it reduced?
Yes, ma'am. 22.
So that means are these two operations operating on the same data or not now?
Yes.
So we'll design functions to do changes on the internal data. Same way the mute function also. So if you write a mute function also, what should it do? It should mute a volume. So which volume? If I do this and if I call this function, it should mute the volume. Now after volume muted, I just want to print the volume and show. As it got muted, if you want, you can print a message. Yeah, hello. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So this keyword is mandatory. Otherwise, we'll get a new one. So that's the reason if you don't want a local one, always mention the global keyword here, right? And here the mute logic is, again, if I say mute, what should happen? If you press the mute button twice, second time what should happen?
Unmute. Unmute means the global name will
Unmute, same old volume,
yeah.
right? Should have the same previous. But is it working? Has it come
No,
back to the original 22?
no, ma'am.
So it's not working fine. When I'm pressing the mute button, that logic is going wrong. So here we have a small logic actually. Before muting the earlier volume, you should save it somewhere. We should save it in a temporary variable. So take a temporary variable, which is initially 0. Now, whenever you're trying to mute the volume, save the current volume into which
Yeah.
variable? Here also we have to mention again global temporary. And the global temporary
Volume.
is saved with the last volume and then you update the volume. So this is done. And here there is a condition. When will I put a mute condition? When global volume is
0.
not equal to which number? 0. Then only what I should do? Save the current volume in a temporary and change the current volume as what? 0.
Yeah.
Else means which condition? It's not on a mute condition. Else means not mute condition and not equal to 0 means, sorry, not equal to 0 means it's not a mute. Some volume is there. And if it's it, else means it's on a mute right now. It's already muted. No volume. So when it is no volume, what should I do? Can I do this? So for each one, a different message. I can say that here it's muted. When it was in an unmute position, when it was not in a 0 condition, it will be muted. That's why I'll say muting message. But when it was not on a mute, it was on a mute, it will give some temperature, the volume for it. Unmuted to check today this log. This is small logic only. You'll understand that.
You got it.
Now check that. Again, if you press mute, it will come as.
0. 0.
You have to read this logic. Go through it today. If you're not understanding, again, I'll explain tomorrow. It's working fine. Any confusion till here? Only the logic part, I think you have to go through it once. I'll send the code. Check the code once. What did I write in here? Okay.
Okay.
Is that clear? Vinita, any doubts?
I'll try it, ma'am. I'll try it and come
Yeah,
back.
try it. So this part will be over from today, the functions topic. So tomorrow I'll cover up the predefined functions also, so
Okay.
that we'll start the object orientation. At least from Monday we should start it off. Okay.
Okay.
And we don't have many topics now. It will go faster only.
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
Jan. Thank you.
Thank you.